Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Gentlemen,
This
cheers.
is really good.
Let's see what we got here.
Thank you. I take all the credit now. I have nothing to do with that. Other than
I've heard stories you're right above the brewmaster. No!
Yes. I'm just like, no, put more in.
Less.
Like, no one's ever thought of that. I'm like, yes.
I seen you with the barley.
Oh, dude. We have, because we do it every year. So we record it, like all kinds of like promo that didn't get used this time around, but it will. And we have the stupid hops like, oh, yes. Like I had fucking anything to do with it. But yeah, that Smittix is probably my top one if you're talking about a big guy.
Yeah.
For a red ale.
They're Guinness, right? Is Smittix the Guinness
corporation? Yeah, they not originally, but they bought them. You know what I mean? Like years and years and years ago. My fault. Pulling this thing, sorry. You know, they bought them and they I'm a big Guinness fan. Originally, the idea was going to be possibly doing a Guinness style, but we actually opted for this because it was a bit different. You know what I mean? It's kind of impossible to get as good of a Guinness or possibly improve on that, I think. That's my thing.
Sacrilege, man. I don't want some Irish motherfucker rolling up here with like a Molotov cocktail. You just say, what?
And I like the color black, too, you can tell. So it's very much my drink.
Well, let's put it out there into the universe. So I think, you know, after you guys do your first tour of Ireland, I think shortly after that, it's going to happen. There's going to be a partnership with Guinness.
That would be... Possibly, I would just stop there because I'm like, it can't get better than this. I love Guinness so much. I drink it in a normal amount, but all the time. I do love it. Whenever I'm at the bar, if they don't have Guinness, I will opt for a soda sometimes these days because I'm like, what's the fucking point?
Is it more of like a meal replacement? Because that's like a heavy beer, man. That's like that's like an appetizer.
No, to me, it's. I feel this will fill me up way more than a Guinness. Guinness is super light to me.
Okay.
And this is something me and the brew. I was gonna call him Brewmaster, but he's never called himself that. But the brewer at Twin Lights, Mike, he is a Guinness guy. See, that's also, I knew he was cool when I walked in because a lot of other brewers will be like, "Yeah, Guinness is all right, but have you tried this double bullshit stout?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have. It's terrible. This Guinness is great." Can I swear, by the way? I just realized I've said so many swears already.
Yeah, you're good. This is for the people. It's not for the children.
This is for the people. But yeah, no, it's Guinness is super light to me, and I could have a bunch of them and not feel sick. And it's got a great taste to it. And yeah, that's about it. And there's like something about the pour, and if they do it right, there's like some type of ceremonial thing to it. You know, I'm just fucking bored at the bar, so I need some type of.
There's a lot to be said for ceremony. I remember back when I was a bad boy, you know, years ago, and you'd be sitting there over like some like pile of cocaine, and then you know, you're having crazy thoughts and you're thinking and speaking way too much, but there was something about the ritual and the process.
That's my cocaine. Then I love Guinness.
Yeah, like just to throw a shady story out there, but we would talk about that probably ad nauseum for 5 hours. Process, you know, there's something about it, but I agree that because there's art, but then there's the process of art too. How'd you guys get hooked up with Twin Lights? So how did that work?
Yeah, so over the pandemic, I really started getting into the internet side of the band because we were really hitting all like the clubs all the time. Like we were just playing all the time. And then, you know, everything shut down. You can't play live. So I was like, all right, to keep me from going insane. We were actually talking about that on the phone the other day.
Yeah.
I'm going to really go into the business side of the band. And it's really paying attention to streams, which is also not great if you're always looking at numbers because that'll drive you insane. But I saw a little tick up and I was like, oh, what's up with that? And I found the playlist. Twin Lights, up until recently, they're going to start doing it again. Well, there is a way now to do it. It's a different type of code, but they used to have an official Spotify code on there, which was the official playlist of the beer. And the beer, like if you were drinking the beer and you were just hanging out, there's this little code and you could scan it and they started putting our music. I guess they were just kind of going through local artists or something. And they started putting our music on their can for a Rocktober feast. So Oktoberfest, Rocktober. And I saw a jump from that and I was like, oh, this is pretty great because actually usually most like local playlists it's really just all the bands on the playlist listening to each other. This was like actually like kind of a direct pipeline to the people and like regular people not necessarily looking for new music but who would like it. I think that's kind of what we are trying to do instead of like going through the traditional route, because you kind of get into the funnel of just all the other bands, which is community, and that's important, but also you want to find people that are just hanging out and not necessarily looking for that, because they still might like it a lot, and they do. We've found a lot of fans that way.
So who approached who?
So I approached them after I saw the tick up in streams, and I was like, that's really nice, like let's keep in touch. And pandemic went on, and then eventually we were able to have our big show back, which we were like holding on to, that we announced right before COVID. And it was this big, it was awesome, sold out, amazing packed show at House of Independence. And we had a couple comps, and I was like, let me send some to those guys, because they were basically, I was sending tickets to anybody who had done something with the band over the time frame that it was impossible to do anything in music, really. So I sent it to them, and I think that was like their first night out as a brewery together, like since the pandemic, because they started the week the pandemic started. I think like that's when they became a company. So I also really, over the pandemic, I got more and more of a respect for them, because they were able to survive as a business. Like literally, they've never had a business outside of the insane world that was. And they were able to stay afoot, and they found ways to deliver beer. They found ways to do deals with people that were in like partnerships that were contactless, and like really kind of doing what we were as a band. Like, how do you take this thing that revolves around being in a room surrounded by people breathing on each other and keep it surviving, instead of just packing up and going home and waiting for things to get better? So they came out to the show, and I met them. I didn't see them come in, but I saw them. I literally saw them. That night I crowd surfed, and I got taken to the merch table upstairs. And then they were there, and I was like, "Hey, how are you?" And they're like, "Good. We're Twin Lights." I'm like, "Awesome. We should do a beer sometime. Let's meet up." And then we did, and in the next March, that was August. The next March, the beer was out.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
The few times we've talked, and the bit I know about you and your band and your sort of philosophy on promotion and philosophy of being is all about, it's very much a DIY ethic, which is sort of a played out term. Maybe I should.
Now there's a specific music that goes with that. I'm like, what does that mean? I hate DIY as a genre.
Oh yeah, well we'll bury that. We'll bury that with alternative rock. We'll bury that with garage rock.
Like alternative. Nirvana's alternative. I'm like, everybody loved Nirvana too. So like, I don't know how that's alternative.
It was an alternative if you didn't like Nirvana.
Yeah.
But I'll qualify that by saying, no, it's easy to put yourself out there. I think as an artist, I don't think it's terribly hard to put your art out there and to put it in front of people. However, growing it and doing something interesting with it is quite a different story.
Yeah.
And the bit I know about you and your band's process is really about bringing people together, which I think is the essence of music.
Yeah.
Most art, but in particular music. You said it yourself, like, shit, COVID hit. The idea is to get people sort of breathing and sweating on each other. That's not a great idea, or, didn't seem like a great idea at the time.
Wasn't cool. It wasn't cool that at the time.
But I'm struck by, I'm sure a company like Twin Lights gets hit up all the time, or really any business is always getting hit up. Hey, can we partner? Hey, can we do this thing? The fact that you were able to get them out of their brewery, they probably didn't hang out much to begin with.
No, well, they did as friends. They were actually all really close friends. That's also what I liked about them too. They're all family basically at this point. So I was like, this is very different from anybody else, because I've always had a dream to have a beer. That was kind of seems like something that would come from this band. It makes sense, and like a good beer, and not like just get fucked up. I mean, something that's like you could sit, you could really enjoy this and like the music. And they were just so friendly and so nice, and like my age, but like they're like 30, but they are starting families and doing that, and like they're really looking to do exactly what you're saying, is bringing people together.
Well, it's beautiful. I mean, you got them out of work, and okay, they're friends and they hang out,
It's
but
hard
you
to
have
do
them
too.
at the show.
Yeah.
Which makes the next step easier. So, when we were on the phone the other day, COVID, such a game changer for so many people. A lot of people made turns for the worse. Some people made turns for the better. We chatted about the turns for the better that we made. What changed for you? I know you grind, you hustle, you do all those things, but what was it? How did the work ethic change?
Forcing myself
COVID?
to actually look at like the purpose of every action. Because it used to be, and not that there's anything wrong with this, I think this is great for when you first start out, was just be out every night, be at a show every night. Just don't even really think about it, just be busy. And then everything shut down, and it was really like very intentional about every single thing. And I think that's kind of when things started falling into place for me a little bit, at least to be on the direction that we are right now. Like it's very, like right before COVID, I almost think I started doing that as well. So I think I was kind of primed to go into COVID. But like literally right before it, we had our first, we were supporting a national act, international act. And it was a band one of the bands that made me want to get into music. So that was a very life affirming moment.
What band's this?
Vintage Trouble. I can't say. I signed an NDA.
I don't know. I don't know.
No. Vintage Trouble. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I haven't.
They're like
shout out to Vintage Trouble.
They were the coolest guys. Super kind. And I first saw them. They were opening up for the Who. And
okay.
Yeah. And it was cool because that night, and Ty is the singer. Is amazing. I always say like basically it's if like Led Zeppelin was fronted by James Brown or like Sam Cooke or something like that. That's the idea. That sounds wacky, go listen to them because they sound fucking great. But they were on stage before the Who. The Who was going to play Quadrophenia in its like entirety, and then he just goes like, "When you get home tonight, put on your TV," because we were on Letterman. And this is when Letterman was on the air. I was a kid, and that was cool too because it's like, not to be ageist, but they were one of the few rock bands I saw that wasn't way older than me. They were just a bit older than me. They were in there. They were like, I think around like late 20s, early 30s. So they were opening up for the Who. I never heard of them ever. You know what I mean? And they were then going to be on Letterman that night. And I went home, and it was the best Letterman performance I ever saw. You got to go watch that. That's like a masterclass in getting a cold room going, which I think is an art in itself. It's so easy to be rock star if a room's like really warmed up, but if people have just been listening to like Matthew McConaughey talk about acting, not that that's not interesting, but that's a different vibe. And then you go straight to like this crowd is like, that's the end of the concert. It was really amazing. And then I saw him a second time, opening up for AC/DC, and then a year later we're playing with them. So that was like really exciting, and I think they kind of appreciated that too when like we were talking to them. And then we were hoping to do more stuff with them, and then the world shut down. So it was like, okay, we could it was like kind of one of those moments like we almost were able to do it, and then everything is like, well, or we could kind of just keep going, because I kind of refuse to be beaten by that. So then we started just focusing. All right, it's probably also time to make another record. Let's dive in, and instead of it being a live record, it's going to be really orchestrated and figured out and be the opposite. Let's start focusing on promotion online, because everyone's online. There's access to people. It could be very difficult now because of all the algorithms and shit I don't understand. But they're there. We could get to the audience, and I really think it primed our audience way more, because then by the time we were able to get back out on the road, we had made fans online. It's been a pretty exciting time post COVID.
Did you guys do the live stream thing?
Which
is certainly all the rage.
We did
And I had a
not.
tough time with that because usually
It's
I found that like the audio quality, the lag, it was like,
we did
it was
one or
rough.
two songs because we had other things to announce, and then I just kind of grabbed the guitar. But I was like, this is such a lesser form. But what we did, because we did want to be part of that, um, as soon as we could, we were kind of sheltering together for a while. Like that was our bubble. Like we were keeping COVID out of our bubble. And then it was well enough to where if you were testing and it was the middle of summer, you could meet as if everyone was like tested. Um, so we went to Asbury Park Brewery and they let us in the middle of the night when no one was there set up in the center of the brewery and do a show. And it was awesome because we hired our friend Chris Kyunchuk and his team to come down and record it live. So we did a full blown show. And it was different because there's no audience, but we made it work and we had a lot of fun doing it. And it was funny too, because I like secretly got married like right before that. So I'm driving, we go off, we get married and I don't tell anybody. And I'm just like, I gotta be at a live stream. You know, we drove far away to do it. We come back and, nobody knew, but I'm just like wearing a wedding ring in this in this stream, so it's pretty funny. Yeah, but
People tend to notice that slightly less though when the lady, less blingy.
Yeah,
is that your wedding ring?
Yeah, yeah. It had to match the rest. You know, it had to be big and bold, and
What
it's
is
still
that?
it's an Irish clattering.
Oh,
Yeah, it's I love this one because it's like the biggest one made.
are you an
Yeah.
Irish lad?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's hopefully it would be appropriation if I made an Irish style red ale and put my name on it.
Oh well,
and-
we're not going to call you out on that. I mean, what isn't appropriated from
Yeah.
something else? Um, what kind of kid were you?
What kind of kid was I?
Yeah, what kind of kid were you?
Good or bad? Is that like
No, like
weird? I was
you know,
really
because
weird.
I'm a teacher, and I've bounced in and out of teaching over the years. As you know, I wasn't teaching when we met, but I often will just sort of in those moments where I could actually have a reflection with a student or with a class. Like normally you're just like in it and you're like and you're just trying to move forward. I was talking to Rob about this before, and you're just trying to keep your head on straight and move things along. But sometimes it's like, well, good or bad qualities. Like what will this manifest? Which of these things that I might deem
I think there's a
cool
lot
or
of
not
qualities
cool?
that teachers thought would manifest poorly, but I think it worked out. I was weird, man. I liked weird old things. Like what
What do you
other
mean?
kid is like I was obsessed with like the Marx Brothers. Like that's just so fucking weird. In music, and I like it was weird. Like I've talked about this before, but I really was not like really online at all, as a kid, and a lot of my peers were. So that's where all the conversations were being had. So I was just like kind of separating myself from the rest. And not because like I wasn't cool or people were mean to me or anything. I was just like I was a hipster way before hipster was in, I guess, you know what I mean? It was just like so strange, all the decisions I made, like what I was listening to. So I was separate from everything. I would just like always just insist on being
Kind of in your
different.
own world
Yeah, I liked it there. I liked it there. It was
with
kinda,
your art.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't really making art yet, but I think I was.
But with the art that you like, whether it's
Taking
the
it,
Marx
yeah.
Brothers.
It was all art. Yeah, it was always, but it was also like finding out everything about the artist and everything, and knowing, like about like who are Abbott and Costello really like and stuff like that, and like I guess because we mentioned Orson Welles, so I was that time period I'm now in my that's the brain I'm in, but also like music like Beatles, and also everything I listened to. I wasn't finding any music online because again I just wasn't online, so I was always just finding it through like records and stuff like that, and listening to albums in full, and kind of I feel like it's a more full immersion of art at that time that I was enjoying, where the rest of my friends, and it's just different. It's not better or worse. We're finding clips of whatever and only watching a little bit or something like that. So it was different. And then when I would try to make friends, it was our touchstones were very, very different, so it was always, not too many people were mean to me, so it wasn't that bad. It was by choice.
What kind of stuff was getting you excited musically?
It was a lot of just like early like Led Zeppelin records, and then also getting into a lot of blues records, and like focusing on the recording of the record and stuff like that. It wasn't until like when I was like 16, 15, 16 was when the fact that there's like new music was around, and that was so exciting to me because I had never even thought about venturing into it. Or I guess at 15, 16, no, I'm sure I'm messing up my time frame here, but like 12, 13, I didn't even really know. And then like people I become friends with, they were like, you might like this band, go look them up. And I'm like, I can't. So I like went to the record store to find their record and got their record. And it was like bands like the Black Keys and stuff like that would really excite me, because it was like, oh, it's a new band. They sound super old, you know what I mean? And that's also,
that's kind of their thing.
Yeah, but it's also like very like, I don't ever like to think about music like literally like a time frame. Like there's nothing that pisses me off more than like when I ask somebody like what their music's like and they just give me a date that they weren't alive for. Like they just go like, it's very 1987, and I'm like, so you sound like Sade? Like, you know what I mean? Like what does that mean?
Ooh, Sade, that's good stuff.
Yeah. And she's great, but I'm like, the guy who said that to me, I'm like, you don't sound like Sade. You know what I mean? And then he puts, it's obviously going to be like hair metal or something like that, which is great. But it was also just like, it's all one thing to me too. You know what I mean? Everything kind of goes in and out of each other. You know, it feels.
When did you start kind of making your own music? Like, was there a person or persons that sort of like showed you the way? Like when I was young, I was lucky.
I refused.
I had a best friend who was always, to me, in my mind, he was always ahead of his time. Shout out Mark Manning out in California, artist, musician still to this day. Mark, love you. He was my guy. Like he was the one who's like,
showed you the way.
You should listen to X, Y, and Z. And hey, both of our moms played in church together. So both of our moms were guitarists in the church band. So there were instruments around, and he had keyboards, an early keyboard that could actually sample. So he would sample like his records.
Oh, cool.
And his records were really just like Star Trek episodes and stuff. So we were sampling like, I don't know, like Spock. We're not going to make it through the interstellar from the Maminator. And then we would like play music over that. We didn't have electric guitars, so we would, this was his idea. Nothing we did was my idea. At least that's how I remember it. We had a really shitty microphone. It's actually in this room somewhere. And we just put that up to an acoustic guitar, and it was so bad that was an electric guitar.
That's how the Stones, Keith Richards did that on several songs.
I mean, I showed him a couple things. Yeah. I showed him a couple things. Those Neptune boys. But Mark was my guy. Like he showed me everything. Like, hey, you should. Every band I ended up loving was from him. So like, I guess the early stuff would have been like The Cure and the Smiths, like all that stuff. I was like, oh my God. Like I heard Johnny Marr playing guitar, and it
was great guitar playing. Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to do. And then, more American stuff like REM.
Like, I don't want to be like Morrissey though.
I didn't want to be like Morrissey. And the more I learn about it, he's up on the wall. Look at him. Look at him judging us.
Can I ask why you weren't on it? You said like, I had to go.
You know what? It was like, it was weird. Like at that time, like it was just like, like stranger danger on the internet. Like you'll be to catch a predator
so if
like
you go. Someone like a parental figure.
Yeah. But I hate talking like it like that because it sounds like they like I wasn't allowed on the internet because they were so terrible. Honestly, it was a good call because there's nothing but. At the time, though, when I got onto it, when I was 15, 16, was a great time. Because it was kind of follow you around and sell you shit that you don't even know that you want yet. And then, like, YouTube, it was before YouTube thought that it knows you better than you know it. You could kind of actually discover things back then, which is just gone now. It's weird that I'm talking about, like, nostalgic. I miss the old YouTube. But for real, like, if you went on there and there was a band you liked, their old algorithm was like, well, the guys who like this, you could try this out, instead of, we know that you bought Snapple last weekend, and people who bought Snapple last weekend also listened to Kings of Leon. So now you're listening to Kings of Leon.
Well, that's real. I mean,
yeah.
It's nostalgic. You're joking, but it is nostalgic because time, when it comes to technology, time has compressed over the last 2 decades. So
very much so, yeah.
You're talking about back in the day, and it's only
2010.
How many years ago?
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago, but it is very different now. You go on, and it's also everyone's on there. It's like, I remember finding Spotify. I found it in 2012, and none of the bands I really knew were on there, but I was finding bands. Like Vintage Trouble was on there because they were new, and they could only really get new bands back then. Like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, they were not on there because that was below them at that time. You had to go buy the CD or listen on iTunes or something like that. You had to pay for it. For free? What are you talking? It was also for free, and there wasn't ads yet. So it was great. And I found all these great bands like Foxy's Shazam, and the Black Keys had their music up there, and it was kind of like an explosion of kind of finding other people that, not necessarily, but felt like they weren't on just the same path as everybody. Because like growing up, it was like every band in my town, which is a great town, Old Bridge. I loved it. There are so many musicians there. Nowhere to play, but there's a lot of like garages all over town. Just Friday night, there's like 10 bands playing. It was
Isn't
all
that where the
pop punk.
Birch Hill was?
Way before my time, but yeah.
Right? You guys remember the Birch Hill nightclub?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
There was, I mean, I remember,
all right
I never
place.
knew that was an Old Bridge because it's just gone. That's actually like a haunted road now. Like Jake Brown Road is where that is. And that's where, you go to, drink beer and get scared and stuff like that. It's actually that same road where Birch Hill used to be. Birch Hill's gone. But that road used to be a Nike missile base. If you know what those are, that's like the anti-nuclear missile.
Yeah.
During the Cold War, if the Russians attacked New York, one of the places that there was also one on Sandy Hook, and then there's one if they were blitzkrieging, New York into Philadelphia. If the Northeast was getting bombed by Russians, we had anti-nuclear missiles in my hometown. This is like I live in the Stranger Things, or I live in Twin Peaks or something like that, which it kind of felt like at times. I take a friend there, and he's like, "Dude, you live in fucking Twin Peaks, man. There's nothing but straight. Like we have there is a Double Pine diner and stuff like that. I love Pine Tavern. I love my hometown. As strange as it is, but on that road, it's such a weird road because there was this. Birch Hill was like a pool club during the day, and like a venue at night is like insane to me.
I don't remember. I played there a couple times, but I don't remember. Like, I just don't remember.
What was it like?
Typical Jersey club. This is my memory, which is nobody takes as word, but like, a big rectangle, a shit ton of speakers. I remember it being loud. It was a loud club. I saw the Catherine Wheel there once, and that was the loudest show I had ever been at. Saw a lot of good shows there.
It looks like Motorhead played there.
Typical,
I'm like,
just
Motorhead
rectangle that was
Old
loud.
Bridge, man. Motorhead came here. You kidding me?
I wasn't at that show. I would have gone to that.
I've seen. There was a bunch. It was like in like 1 month they had Motorhead, Joan Jett, and Dio, and like I'm like, whoa, that's like the ultimate '80s concert thing. You know what I mean? In 1 month. It was like the summer of like, I think it might have been like 83 or something like that.
That was definitely before I was going
Yeah.
there. But hell, it would have been nice to hear Dio sing. Like, say what you want about like certain metal or anything like that.
But he's a real one. That's the thing. Like, there's like people that often like, I never like to think about genre when I'm making music or something like that, because I feel it puts you in a box. And some people, metal can very much be that constricting box. I feel like he was. His particular, I like him a lot actually as a person too. His mindset was very outside of the definition of metal for other people. He was kind of making it. You know what I mean? Because if you look at his career, he was in a doo-wop group when he started.
Oh, is that right?
He was in a fantastic doo-wop group, and he has a beautiful voice. That's There's a great. It was Ronnie and because his name's Ronnie. I forget the full name. It was like Ronnie and the Dios. Not that, but it was that. And then the '60s happened, and he joined Rainbow, and
Right.
and then he was doing Rainbow, and then he was in Black Sabbath after Rainbow, and he replaced Ozzy, and then he made his solo records. And by that time, that's like he had like 2 decades under his belt, and he there was this idea of metal, and he definitely shaped it already very much with like Rainbow. That was like the introduction of, like fucking Dungeons and Dragons shit, satanic panic stuff. So then he kind of ran with that. I feel like he had more of a claim to it because he was kind of setting the bar where there was a lot of people kind of just like, this is metal, I'm going to do metal. Not to name names, but those records suck. But there's a lot of great metal, and Dio is one of the tops for me.
He's credited with
the
horns.
Yeah, because he was Italian, and that was the Maloik.
Yeah, I know my people. They're dumbass.
No, dude, I love that stuff. I mean, that's just for real, man. If Dio does it to you, it's
well, we're safe. Thank God. Thank God we're safe.
We're safe. But yeah, no, that's I love that because it comes from. That's the thing. Like people just kind of do that, but he had a very, like I was saying before, intentional purpose with it. And there was something very real to him about that, because his grandmother did that. You know what I mean? So it's not this random Satan thing. It's thought out, and it's very much part of his lore and culture that he brings to his
That's
art.
Great. I can see it.
Ronnie, you don't finish those manigot.
Yeah.
That's what he was, man. He was a good Italian boy. You're looking like Frankie Valli in his first band too.
I can see it. I can totally see it.
He had a great pomp, dude. Yeah, it was awesome.
I know you mentioned, you don't want to put music into time periods and boxes, and that.
If you're talking about something specific, sure. But if you're making new music, you're like, I'm making 1971. It's like, well, they did that in 1971.
well, my point with that is, like, let's talk about the Mother Leeds Band, your band, Conner Bracken and the Mother Leeds Band, which I've been listening to. You guys have your own thing going on, clearly. The first thing that jumps out at me is like, fucking A, guitar rock.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't been the most popular thing in the very recent times, which I don't understand. Guitar rock is like guitar driven rock and roll. It's so baked into my heart. It's just one of those things. It's so visceral. It's so real. So I love that about you guys. I've seen your band I've seen your band twice, and I love the rockness of it. So, but one of the things that I enjoy that maybe doesn't contrast that, but you as a singer, you as a lyricist, I feel like there's a lot of romance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of romance in your lyrics. There's a lot of, hey, it's you and me, babe. And, us against the world. And I know I'm throwing out like cheesy tropes, but like,
no worries,
but I have to put names to certain things. There's a sweetness. Maybe that's how I should say it. There's a sweetness in a lot of the lyrics. And I love some sweetness up against some big stinky beats.
Yeah.
And big fat guitar riffs.
The music is the score to what you're talking about, so if you're talking about romance and, it's very an emotional thing. The music that we make is very intensely emotional. You know what I mean? We're not emo, but it's very,
no, that's different.
Yeah, no, that's talk about putting yourself into a box. I don't ever really like boxes. So whatever I have to say, I have full freedom to express it to the nth degree. And I would go against you. I think a lot of people love guitar rock right now, but it's also calling it rock is putting it in a box. So if you don't put it in a box, then you just put it out there. Because I now sometimes avoid putting our rock as our genre, even though we are rock. Like, I'm not an idiot. I know that this is very much rock music. There's this rules put in place for rock. And I don't like that at all. I like being able to do whatever the fuck I want to do.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
And
so-
when I say like,
Yeah. You're not wrong, by the way.
When I'm thinking of
Yeah.
popularity, I definitely am not thinking it's not
What
what
about
people
Olivia
like.
Rodrigo?
Tell me.
So massive. Yeah, have you listened to her? She's on like most of the songs in the top 10 right now have guitar riffs in them. I'm just saying.
That's got to be, but that's got to be recent, right? Because I feel like if we're going back in the last 10 years,
past 5 years,
pop and then like pop strains of hip hop, and I'm talking about. By the way, I'm talking about popular music, which may or may not
top 40,
correlate.
Top 40 kind of stuff. Yeah,
which may or may not correlate to what people actually like. I want to be very clear. Like, I don't think there's a connection between those.
I mean,
two.
look at Harry Styles' records. He's borderline making like David Bowie like records. You know what I mean? They all have type bands. There's no tracks anymore because people actually like it. But here's the thing: at no point did they call it rock. Olivia Rodrigo is a rock artist. Like the guy who makes her songs was in a rock band. He doesn't make her songs; he co-writes and produces them. She also writes, but the Chapel Roan has fucking guitar solos in half her songs. Olivia Rodrigo has 2 amazing guitar players in her band that play riffs. There's riffs. We'll put it on when there's not microphones that will ruin your podcast. But it's so much there. We play shows now, and most of the people are younger than me. Everyone's wearing like a Nirvana shirt. Guitar is so in. But if you say rock, because there's so much history with it, they're now correlating all this history with it. Like, I wasn't around for any of that. And I'm making rock music. I would say I'm making rock music. I don't go out to say I'm going to make rock music. I'm going to make music. It comes out as rock because that's the filter. That is me. That comes out as that. But I'm not making music to sound like a time period, but I'm making music that I exactly want to right now. And music that I want to make right now sounds like that. 2024 sounds like us.
So,
you know what I mean?
An artist like Olivia Rodrigo, then how would she how would people describe her?
She's pop because,
but a lot of it's guitar driven, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because
I love that
because it's because genre is whatever you tell the interviewer what you are. It's your identity, because the genre isn't also just the music. Like, just heavy metal is long hair and leather jackets. There's no sound to long hair, leather jackets, but it's metal because there's this correlation and assumption when it comes to certain choices with art. You know what I mean? Like anything, like if you're making a rock record, people are expecting a certain album cover. If you're making a pop record, people are expecting a certain album cover. Yeah, it's and a lot of people are throwing that on its head, and that's where it's at, because you're actually thinking and you're actually making what you want, instead of, like, there's these rock bands and I'm friends with some of them, and they make their album look exactly like a 70s album, which is cool. I like that a lot, but it's also like, did you make that choice, or did you just assume that you had to make that choice? You know what I mean? So I like it when it's a total just amalgamation of a bunch of shit, because that's what you're working on. That's what's right now. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is kind of vintagey looking, because I feel like we are all looking to the past a little bit right now. And I mean, if you look at what I do, there's a bunch of stuff from the past. Like, I'm not going to deny that, but it's also just saying I'm doing this time period, or even that idea of rock is gone, or guitar rock is gone, or guitars are gone. I just like, I immediately just say, no, it's not, because I'm right here doing it. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the thing. I love it. You know, there's so many kids that love guitar. Also, like Taylor Swift, she's playing a guitar, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of there's records. I was like, there's one she released. It's like a vault track, and I was listening to it, and I was hearing all the correlations. I was listening to my wife. There's a bunch of correlations between her and a bunch of other stuff, but it was like, this song is structurally very similar to "I Was Made for Loving You" by Kiss, and has a similar guitar in it. But she's singing it, and she's in a purple dress on the cover, so it's pop. But there's guys who are on Foreigner records on the record. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what? You know, because they're selling it as pop, because it's not a timepiece. It isn't an old thing. This is popular right now. And if you sell it as that, it will be perceived as that.
Yeah, the meaning of things can change over time.
it's all real music. You know what I mean? It's all music from the gut. And I say this too with my band too, because we're starting from a very small space of none of us have anybody. We don't have anybody in our families that are in the industry. We're all kind of we're all breaking in together. There's two Connors, I say. There's one that makes the music, and there's one that goes and tries to get the music heard, and it's completely two different brains. Because we make the music, we finish the record, and then I look at it. I open up the other part of my brain, and I go like, okay, how do we get this out there? And it's very much so. I'm really trying to make it not like, I'm not an Elvis impersonator. You know what I mean? No offense to any Elvis impersonators, but it's very, I don't know, like intentional, like we were saying.
Well, one thing that is intentional about you and the band is that you're taking your music out of the area. There's a lot of smart people and advice that I got when I was younger, when I was grinding and trying to make it happen. It's like, okay, so you can build up a following, you can be, the king of the local scene, all these things. And this, we're in the Asbury Park area, Monmouth County in general, just rich with art, rich with talent. The bar, I feel, is always higher. If you were to take a national average in our country
this
art,
this area made us better.
100%.
Made me better.
100%.
Yeah.
But the next step is, okay, I want to leave the comfort of this area.
Mm-hmm.
I want to test our metal out on the road. By the way, anywhere, even if you're just driving 45 minutes, just getting the fuck out of Monmouth County. I know that you guys have put yourselves out there. How are you being received? I know you've sold out shows in other cities, Pittsburgh, New York, Boston.
Yeah.
Tell me about these places and tell me sort of what's the secret sauce for the Mother Leeds Band when you're packing everything in a van and on top of each other and trying to, get a congregation going.
Well, lots of love and understanding within the band, so we don't strangle each other by the time we get there. But it's kind of weird. You kind of have to just get out there and play to cold rooms. Like, that's kind of an exciting thing. I view that as a challenge, because if you go to a place and nobody knows who you are, like, it's easier to go in if you stay in Asbury. Now, by the time we're playing, everybody in the room has bought a ticket to see us, at least knows who we are and is excited. Whereas if you go to like Buffalo, people are eyeing you up like the game is on. You better be better. You better be good. You better be good. Don't interrupt. And you got to bring the live show. It's got to be fun. It's got to be, that's the thing, like taking kind of something that we have is very untamed sound and making it as palatable as possible is hard, and like I've been working on that for a long time. I started gigging when I was 15. It's been 15 years. And I've been touring for 7. So it's kind of just going into the cold room and not being afraid. And you are afraid, but you don't let anybody know. And you get out there and you give it your best. You know what I mean? And you engage. You have to be very willing to really get into it with these people because you're asking them for their most precious thing, time. You have a finite amount of it.
When the Bills are playing?
Yeah, when the Bills are... Dude, we're lucky, man. The Bills won right before we went on stage, so they were also a little... Last time we played Buffalo, they were pretty happy when we walked in the room.
I remember playing Pittsburgh maybe for the first time, and it was like the Steelers had a home game that weekend, and that's the first time I saw how intense a city can be about something that they're all rallying around. Fuck, I hope these guys win.
Yeah,
because we're playing.
Because also you're not
12 hours
you're not
later
from around here, dude. Yeah, that's the thing with some of these cold rooms. It's funny because we had trouble breaking into some of these cities. Like even getting a gig is.
But what's the secret? Help out the artists who are either unsure or afraid.
Oh, help! Get some reps in. Play as much as you can when you're first starting out. Start as soon as you can. Don't bother learning your instrument. Just get up. I mean, I'm kind of joking, but I'm also I barely could play guitar, and we started building a following at that point. It was punk rock then. I wasn't trying to make punk rock, but it was coming out shitty, so I was like, we're a punk band. And people were like, oh, okay, cool.
The catch-all for low quality performance.
Yeah, which is not true because there's some amazing punk bands.
Yeah, sure.
But, finding a name for it. But it was kind of just getting up there and trusting yourselves and building trust within your band and yourself, and never half-assing it. Don't half-ass it. Don't water it down. Just do your thing. If it doesn't go with the room, that's okay. You gave it your all. You know what I mean? But it's been a while where that has happened to us because we've been kind of building that rapport with people, learning how to talk to a cold room. I don't have any pointers on that other than doing it a bunch of times.
Well, that's maybe that's the secret sauce. Like, you can't just roll up in a city one time.
Oh, you have to,
and then say we tried that. So talk about that a little bit. Like, what's the schedule on that?
I would say, we're starting to hit this, but I think what you would want to do is if you're trying to get in regional, what we're doing, we used to do tours, and I would be like, we're having a tour out to California. We never got there because COVID happened. But we go down to like Nashville and go down like all down the East Coast, and then like go as far as we could. And then I would be like, I'm going to Europe with an acoustic guitar, all that stuff. So it was post-COVID, we made a decision is that we're only going to play the Northeast until we're as big in every city in the Northeast as we are in our hometown. And because we kind of got to a point in Asbury, and I want to play Asbury so many more times now. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm not playing it enough, but we'll be coming back soon. Don't worry. But it's basically, I think you need to hit a city 3 times a year to start kicking heads up.
Okay.
And keeping track and retaining the audience. If you have people that like you, get their email. Get an email list going. You know what I mean? Actually retain that, because they're not going to come to every gig because that's just life, But you can start building that up. Building up that word of mouth. But we go out, you play a room to nobody, and then maybe there's one person there, and you build off of that. Build off what you can, but also do not be discouraged by a room with no one in it. If you go there for the first time, you have to start there, and you have to be excited to go there again to play to 2 people. Then maybe next time you'll have 4 people, and then eventually, there's people there. It's great.
If you want to be an artist and you're discouraged, or I mean, you can be discouraged in the moment, but if you're like discouraged and it affects you for more than a day, the fact that no one was there or no one liked your painting or your sculpture got critiqued in a way that you didn't appreciate, or no one understands your art, it's probably not a good choice for you. You should probably go into whatever the opposite of being an artist is.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the process.
Yeah. You have to find your own way. I feel like there is a way to have that in the beginning and learn to get rid of it. You know what I mean? You could get rid of it. I feel like it's having good people around you, like my band. Being alone would be different, I think, for me. I think that's important.
You don't do the solo thing. I remember asking you if you wanted to do a solo track on this show, and you're like, that's not something I do anymore.
Yeah, it's because the music's become about the band. It is. Even though it's my name in the band, it isn't a Conner Bracken record. It's a Conner Bracken and the Mother Leeds Band record. It's the songs I write. It's the world I kind of create, performed by this specific cast of people that I think it brings. They understand me to a certain extent. You know what I mean? So they kind of also know what to do. And I feel like they bring something that I hear that I can't do myself. You know what I mean? I've done solo stuff before. I've done versions of it. I have a bunch of songs that I think are like solo songs, but right now I'm diving deep into the band. You know what I mean?
We would have had them if we had more than 22 inches on either side of your shoulders right now. We would have had them down here. That was a no-go.
You know what? And I don't mind being the guy that goes to do the interviews. I could talk forever. So, but I like that we have a private bond that we show on stage and we show together with the art we make, but it's kind of like, it's weird. They've done interviews with me before though, and they've been really good. We did a test one that was like a pretty crazy interview, and they really held their ground. I was like, okay, this is the band. This is absolutely the lineup because they can handle themselves in front of like the worst questions imaginable, like really weird. I remember telling that guy just no. He asked me a weird question.
That was the response.
And I was like, no, I'm not talking about that.
What type of stuff was he throwing out?
Oh,
yeah, so we don't do that. Let's take notes. We don't want to do that.
Talk shit about specific people within like the New Jersey music scene. I'm like, I'm not doing. Yeah, first of all, I don't have a problem with that person, and it was weird that he asked that.
Trying to generate like clips.
The guy was like used to be part of it, and like really had issues with people, and was asking me about them into a live microphone, and I'm just like, no, dude.
So he was trying to scratch his own itches.
Yeah, something like that. It was weird. I don't know. I mean, we had this conversation before. You were like, what can I ask you about? I was just like, well, I don't really know, because you're not really a crazy person. You're not going to ask me something weird. So far, everything's good, by the way. Everything you've asked is great. So
we'll keep the weird box unchecked for today.
Afterwards. I don't mind if the camera's off. You can ask me wacky questions.
We can get weird. Talk shit about everybody.
Yeah, man.
Fucking this guy, that gal.
Fuck that guy that cleans up the beach every morning, doesn't let me sleep on the beach. Fuck that guy. We had a conversation where that guy was like, that guy's an asshole. He wakes me up. And I'm like, you have a house, dude. Why are you sleeping on the beach?
Yeah, you're not in Southern California. Yeah. Why are you sleeping on the beach?
It was strange. It was like November too. It was like, in fact, I think he's saving your life.
Your band brings a good energy. Both times I saw your band, it's a shit ton of energy. And in fact, I'm excited to say that you hooked us up with an unreleased live track.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing, I don't think I told you, but we're going to be doing Dream of You and Me.
Perfect. Yeah.
Dream of You and Me. Is that from the Baronet Rooftop?
That's the last time we played in New Jersey.
Tell us about that show, because that's a badass spot. I didn't see you play there, but I've seen artists play there. That's a badass
I'm really
location.
proud of that show, because that was after we played that House of Independence show, like post-COVID. And then I was immediately focused on the road, because I was like, we've built a community online now where there's people all around the world now that asking us to go play. It's like one person per city, but we got to get out there. So I was like, let's focus on the Northeast. We started getting out there, and we wanted to come back, and kept on trying. And eventually it worked out to where I was like, let's do this. Let's do a smaller cap place, but make it so cool and record the whole thing. So we did the Baronet Rooftop, and we've been friends with people at the Lanes for a long time, and they helped us out, getting us a great date. It was Friday, a 4th of July weekend. And it was a magical night, but it was DIY. It really was, because that's like not their main event space. So they set up the PA, and then
they'll do films up there more than they'll do shows.
Yeah. So there was just PA. We brought all the lights. We just brought that ourselves. That was, and then the backdrop behind us, if you see in the video, I made that the night before, just on like a video editing. I'm doing it myself. You know what I mean? Like everything we do is yourself, but we kind of try to hide that. We don't want you to show up and be like, that's cute that they did that. We want it to be this crazy quality, but then I get to turn around and be like, yeah, we did that. We didn't have to hire anybody for that. And then our friends filming it were guys I've known for years. It's all in house. Like this past year, this is a bit of the private side of the band, but we were just having like a Christmas party with everybody who has worked with us over the past year. And it was great to look around and see everybody over that year had put their own efforts into equal to mine, which was really exciting to me. But that whole evening was amazing. We had Jackson Pines and the Vaughns open, and they were fantastic. And then we went on right around twilight and just plummeted into the night. You know what I mean? It was so great because it was 4th of July weekend. And when we finished the show, I think it was during this song or the next song on the full set, but I knew it'd be happening, but I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. And we got a drone camera that my buddy had, and there's like fireworks going off during the finale. So everyone was like, did you do that? I'm like, yes. Yes, I did.
Of course. You and the fire chief had worked out the timing.
Yeah, man. I was like, when you hear the big guitar solo, that would have been 5 seconds into the show, launch the fireworks. But it was a great night. Everyone was amazing. It was such a good evening. So next time we play New Jersey, it's got to top that. So I have to figure something else out. I have to
something higher. Something higher up?
Just, yeah.
Have you guys done the summer stage?
No. I would love to do that. I would love to do that. If anyone booking the summer stage is listening, I would love to do that. We were supposed to play with the Struts on the summer stage, and that got rained out. I was also supposed to play with Frank Turner once, and that got rained out as well.
The only time I ever played on the summer stage, it was raining. So it was like a kind of a bittersweet thing. I got here, but god damn, am I going to get electrocuted?
I'd rather get electrocuted than not play the gig.
Of course.
That wasn't my call, unfortunately. It was, people who have, safety in mind. Probably.
But that's good that those people are out in the world.
Yeah, that's probably the right call.
But you guys bring a good live show, man. Well, it's better than good. You guys bring a ton of energy.
Thank you.
We're excited to premiere this unreleased track, Dream of You and Me, on the rooftop of the Baronet. If you're watching this and maybe you've never been to Asbury Park, but you should come to Asbury Park. You should come to our area sometime. But there's a rooftop venue. It's gorgeous. Normally they'll show films up there, but just imagine yourself a couple 100 feet in the air and you're checking out Conner Bracken and the Mother Leeds Band, and you can look at the band or you can turn around and look at the ocean.
It's a perfect spot.
It's a magical place.
And the sign's from the old Baronet Theater in town. If I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, it's such a cool spot.
Yeah, that's the original.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's good for all different things too. Like, you got little kids and you want to watch, Toy Story, or something. That's probably
there's a little less sweat and people jumping around during the Toy Story. I don't know. Maybe
but there's going to be more diaper leaks.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's going to be things of that nature. I think more things coming out this way than this way, perhaps.
There you go.
Appreciate you coming on the show, man. Stay tuned for seconds from now, and you can hear that track that's premiering exclusively on Through the Glass. Conner, I wish you and the band all the luck, man. I love you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And keep it up, brother.
Of course. Here, I'm gonna cheer. Can
we do this?
Here? Let's see if we can. There we go. All right. Bam! There we go. I'll cheers you guys in a minute.
Twin Lights collaboration with the Mother Leeds Band. Red Ale, one of my faves. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.